Random J Productions welcomes you to the M&M Superspeedway here in Newtown, Connecticut for the second running of the M&M's Classic. To kick off the new year, 28 of the world's best drivers are all lined up at this snow-covered superspeedway that's sure to produce some close pack racing. In case if you're new here, let's again take a look at the format for the Triple Winner Challenge. First, all the cars on track tonight were all identically prepared from one another, in addition to each car having standardized paint schemes. Second, the manufacturer choice was determined by the Palm Summer League champion from last year. So in this case, PSL champion Brendan Beal, who drove a Dodge, results in every car in today's field being an all-Dodge field. And as for the Triple Winner Challenge itself, well, if a driver is able to win 2 out of these 3 races, they will receive a one-time reserve good for the upcoming PSL season later this summer. And in the case of today, if last week's winner, Alex Santavala, wins, he will get a reserve for the PSL. But if another driver wins today, that driver and Santavala will become the only 2 eligible drivers left for the reserve going into our final race at Papyrus, providing if one of them wins. In addition as well, all the 28 drivers are separated into 4 different alliances: Ruby, Diamond, Silver, and Gold. The average finishes of each alliance will also be shown at the end of this race. And lastly, to clarify once again, this is not a series, as driver points nor championship will be rewarded. But with all that out of the way, let's first take a look at the starting lineup, as well as the pre-race ceremonies for today's New Year's special. So on the pole is the defending winner of this race who won it back in 2022, Joe T in the 9 car, and next up Jordan Flores in the 61, who won last year's Coca-Cola Summer Kickoff at the very similar Coca-Cola Superspeedway. Row 2, Mopar in the 46, and there's Alex Santavala, last week's winner, and just as a reminder, if he wins here today, he will get the reserve and win the challenge. We got an all-Ruby row number 3 of Kyle Sustrad in the 19, and PSL champion Brendan Beal. Row 4, 2020 Golf Summer Series champion Calvin Baker, and Random J in the 53, who won the very similar size Orlando International Speedway back in the GSS days. We got all silver row in row number 5 of Nathan Stapleton, who very nearly won last week's race at Bowman Gray. Next up, the 21 of Roberto Crown. Row 6, Hoodlum in the 88 car, and Jose Angel Gutierrez in the 25. Row 7, the 06 at Madison Chase, and 2-time Random J Series champion Ryan Wilson in the 48. Row 8, last week's runner-up Owen Miles, next up Jason Albert in 84. Row 9, Alex Mullen and Bradley Ream. We got an all-diamond row number 10 of Brandon Carruthers, who's won 2 Superspeedway races in the Golf Summer Series, while Nixie in the 40 has won 2 Superspeedway races in both of the Summer Series, including last year's Firecracker 400. In row 11, we got an all-gold row of Lipsy in the 8 and Matthew Burnett in the 6. Row 12, Caleb Rose and Patrick Miller. For row 13, we got 2 Atlanta Motorsport alums of Jordan Stout and Keyshawn Richardson. And finally, in row number 14, Ross McTrain in the 45 and Nathan Orman in the 95. Taking a look at the track info here for today's race, we're going to go 22 laps on this massive 3-mile-long, partially snow-covered superspeedway with 36 degrees of banking in the corners. And as for the weather here today in Newtown, 42 degrees Fahrenheit with 5-mile-per-inch towards the northwest. And as previously mentioned, the past winner here in the M&M's Classic is Joe T in New Year's 2022. And last year's track is also very similar to the Orlando International Speedway, and especially the Coca-Cola Superspeedway from the Palm Summer League, as both superspeedways are pure 3-mile-long ovals with very steep 36 degrees of banking. And now it's time for the pre-race ceremony, starting with our national anthem. And now it is time for the starting command here in the M&M's Classic.
Drivers, start your engines!
Hope everyone's had a happy 2024 so far, spending time with some family and friends and watching some fireworks. And we're definitely going to launch some fireworks here today in Newtown. As the field comes down the front straightaway, the pace car is down pit road with this sold-out crowd all on their feet, ready for the return of the M&M's Classic to kick off 2024. And already we see some movement, bringing corridors going 3 wide, forcing RC to the middle, going into turn number 1, while most of the front rows remain 2 by 2. On the back shoulder, you see some movement here of Joe T moving to the outside in front of 4, is making it 3 wide now for the lead, while low partner 46 is in the middle in front of Sunshine. Now Sunshine looks to the inside, making it 3 wide for the lead down the back straightaway, and going into turn number 3. I'm going to complete the first lap here in the 2024 M&M's Classic, and it's going to be Kyler Sustry leading lap number 1, with Mopar right behind him with Hoodlum, now 3 wide in the middle. We're already 5 wide going into turn number 1 of Gutierrez, Beal, and Forbes, basically right up against one another on the outside. Coming off turn number 2 this time by, looks like both Sustry and Miles move up to the outside right in front of Hoodlum with Stapleton to join the 88 car as well. As Stout is once again way down to the inside, this time forcing Carruthers in the 20 car in the middle. With Sustry and Miles remaining on the inside going into turn number 3. We'll see if they're going to change lanes here as we're 4 wide now. Here comes Bradley Ream out of nowhere, forcing the 88 car way up high on the racetrack, with Carruthers quickly blocking Stout and now coming down to the inside to block Bradley. And going back to the front 2 of Sustry and Miles, he went down to the inside that time by coming to lap number 3. Looks like Sustry's going to do another lap here, with the fellow Ruby driver of Miles still right in tow. And this is definitely something the Ruby Lions wanted to see. These two drivers bring nose to tail and working with one another, as the Ruby Lions came to this race 3rd in the Alliance averages, with an average finish of 15.57, which is well below both the Diamond and Silver Alliances. Continuing down the back story once again, looks like every driver inside this top 5 on this single file line on the outside. There's Carruthers now. Look at the inside of Miles for second, despite that 20 car having absolutely no help at all. And it looks like, as I say that, here comes the help from both Hoodlum and Ross McTrain into 45s. Now McTrain looks to the inside of Hoodlum. They're going to be 3 wide going into turn number 3. As it looks like the top 3 of Sustry, Miles, and Carruthers will maintain 1st, 2nd, and 3rd respectively. Coming back to the front and coming back to lap number 4. Sustry and Miles and Carruthers remain in your top 3 of Lipsy trying to get something started on the outside. There's Carruthers once again looking to the inside of Miles. This time he has help from McTrain as well as Lipsy and Ryan Wilson behind the 8 car. And this time into turn number 1, he'll force Miles up to the outside. Now looking to the inside of Sustry for the lead as we're side by side off for turn number 2. And now he's McTrain forcing Carruthers to the middle as we're once again 3 wide, with McTrain looking to get help from either Wilson or Orman as we continue to be 3 wide for the lead. And if you remember, both Orman and McTrain started at the very last row in row number 14, but despite that, both of them are already contending for the lead, despite us not being even 5 laps in yet. As I come back to the line, the lap number 5, Carruthers will move up in front of the 19, while McTrain's going to settle with the middle in front of Ryan Wilson, leaving Nathan Orman and Random J, the 2 lead cars, coming back to the start-finish line. On board with Orman, trying to look for that run on the inside, with Random J still right behind him. Looks like going to the 1, he'll move to the middle, while McTrain moves back down to the inside, as now Random's going to help out the 45. And there you see Sustry and Miles, who continue to remain nose to tail with one another, falling back, losing a lot of ground on the outside. As here comes Keystone Richardson, the 24 now inside this picture, while the 21 for Roberto Crown and Patrick Miller look to build up some momentum on the inside. Off of forward current top 3 of McTrain, Random, and Richardson move to the outside, with Crown and the 21 as well as Patrick Miller joining this group, coming to lap number 6. And here is Richardson now looking to the inside of his Diamond Alliance teammate for a second, as Crown and Miller will join the 24, leaving Random completely out to dry, going into turn number 1 as they're 3 wide for second. And Richardson quickly came down the block to 21 as he looks for a run on the 45 for the lead, while Random remains stuck on the outside alongside Nathan Orman. And there's that run. Here's Richardson side by side with McTrain for the lead. As here's Brendan Beal now making a 4 wide down the back sure and into turn number 3, forcing both Santafalla and Miller to the middle before Santafalla quickly comes down to block Beal. And the same can also be said for McTrain, Richardson, and Miller as they will join the inside the lane into turn number 4. Off of 4, those aforementioned 3 drivers will now move to the outside in front of Crown, leaving Santafalla and Beal now the lead 2 drivers on the inside, coming to lap number 7. And there you see towards the middle of the pack, Jordan 4 is making it 4 wide, going way down the inside, as McTrain will move back down to the inside, this time in front of Miller going into turn number 1, this time leaving Richardson and Crown as the 2 lone ducks in the middle. Off for 2, Orman's going to move up to that 3rd line on the outside of Random and Rose, as here comes a strong run from Alex Santavalla as he moves up to 3rd, while behind him, Baker's going to make it 3 wide with Nick Sand and Richardson, with Joe T and Jason Albert very aggressively diving down to the inside in front of Baker before changing their minds, going into turn number 3 as here's a battle for the lead now. Here's Patrick Miller forcing McTrain to the outside of help from Alex Santavalla and Nick Sant going into turn number 4. Patrick Miller is one of those drivers who did very well in the Madhouse Classic, looking for redemption here today. Santafalla is going to leave Miller to dry on the outside, coming to lap number 8, as those two are going to be side by side for the lead. On board with Santafalla has help from Nick Sant, one of the favorites going into today's race, who of course won 2 out of the last 3 mainline super speeder races on this channel. Down the back straight, both Santafalla and Nick Sant move up to the outside in front of Miller. So here's a strong run from both Calvin Baker and Joe T before Joe T makes it 3 wide for second, forcing Baker to the middle. And McTrain aggressively walking Bradley Ream before Ream looks to the inside of the 45 into turn number 3, with Santafalla and Nick Sant remaining nose to tail. And there's he towards the back of the pack with 4 wide, almost 5 wide of Hoodlum trying to move down in front of Lipsy, but there wasn't enough room for him to move down. Coming to lap number 9 is going to be Alex Santavalla, your leader, trying to clinch the Triple Winner Challenge to get that PSL reserve later this summer. Here's Joe T looking to the inside of Nick Sant for second. Meanwhile, both the Jordans of Jordan Forbes and Jordan Stout are now inside this mix going into turn number 1 of Nick Sant trying to come down right in front of Joe T before Joe T forces the 40 car up high, as those two will be side by side for second once again. Santafalla still leads down the back series. Now Stout's going to force a 3 wide to both Nick Sant and Joe T, despite that 11 car having absolutely no help at all on the inside. And despite that move not really working out for Stout through turns 3 and 4, he'll join the rest of the inside of the lane with Santavalla, Nick Sant, and Joe T still your top 3. On board with Joe T off of turn number 4, he looks for another run on Nick Sant, coming to lap number 10. And here he goes, he looks to the inside of Nick Sant, then once again side by side for second. Can Joe T make it stick this time? And despite Santavalla coming down the block Joe T in the turns 1 and 2, that 9 car is now up to second place with Nick Sant, now quickly losing ground in the middle. Off of 2, Santavalla now is going to move to the outside with Joe T remaining on the inside, as those two will now be side by side for the lead. Jordan Stout's the lead car on the inside, and it appears that Joe T is trying to get help from the 11 car, as behind the leaders, his cars all over the place going into turn number 3, with Lipsy and now Brendan Carruthers in particular going way down to the inside, making it 4 wide behind the top 5. And as we come to lap number 11 this time, by almost halfway done through this race, it's time for the very first 2024 edition of Crank It Up. It's lap number 14 of 22 here in the M&M's Classic. Only 9 laps to go. Kyle Sush trying to back into it and flip him out, trying to go for second on Mopars. They're going to be side by side through turns 1 and 2. Down the back, Shorter Madison now up the third as she's side by side with the 46. While Hoodum's now looking to the inside of Sush as we're once again side by side for the lead, with Madison coming out to help Hoodum. The 88 and the 06 are going to move to the middle in front of Miller. With Hoodum side by side now clearing Sush for the lead, as that 19 has absolutely no help in the middle. Coming to 8 laps to go this time by, the former Golf Summer Series champion will lead this time by as he looks for his first race win on the channel since 2021. And once again towards the middle and back of the pack as he's some 4-wide action of Nixon and Brady Carruthers trying to make something work here. As Miller looks to the inside of Madison for second, with Hoodum blocking the 10 car, also moving down to the inside as we're on board with Miller through turn number 2. And you can see that strong run Miller gets off of 2. Is now right behind the back bumper of Hoodum as both drivers move up to the outside. And there you see the rearview mirror. Comes Burnett side by side with the 10 car for second. With Calvin Baker still behind him, as well as Bradley Ream now making 3 wide into turn number 3. It looks like Hoodum will have barely enough room to block Burnett, but the same can be said for Miller as Calvin Baker is going to force him up high. Coming to 7 laps to go this time by, Hoodum still leads, while Burnett and Ream are now inside the top 3. You see Alex Bowling the 1 car now in this picture out. Nixon makes it 4 wide down the front straightaway, going way down the inside, with Joe T and Nathan Orman also joining him as well, going into turn number 1. Which, as I said, that the top 4 are all moved down to the inside, with Burnett forcing Hoodum up high in the middle as they're going to be side by side for the lead. And oh, Jason Albert goes spinning in the back straightaway. It looks like Albert will just barely make contact with the wall that time by, but it was still enough to bring up the caution for the first time here today in the M&M's Classic. Looks like the other driver that got maybe some damage was Jordan Stout in the 11 car. And you can see some light right side damage to the 11 car, but meanwhile back to the front, where Matt Fournette was able to clear Hoodlum that time by, with Reed moving up to second and Nick Sant now up to third into 40. Now, with that caution coming on lap number 16, it wasn't quite enough to force a green-white checkered finish, but we will restart this race with only 2 laps to go with the scheduled distance. Now, if the caution came out on this lap, lap number 17, that would have forced a green-white checkered finish, but in this case, unless another caution comes out, we will finish this race with the scheduled distance. But let's first take a look at the instant replay to see what caused this late race-changing caution. So very similar to our past Superspeedway wrecks, this was the result of a 5-wide scenario going wrong. This time off of turn number 2, Jason Albert was in between Ross McTrain and Jordan Stout going 3-wide, with Madison Chase and the 10 of Patrick Miller also up high on the outside. So it looks like both McTrain and Stout essentially squeezed Albert into Mopar, sending Albert around and Stout into the grass. But it looks like Stout was able to save it, while Albert just barely tapped the wall with his left rear, with Albert getting overall pretty minor damage, but will affect him for the rest of this race. Taking this from up above in slow motion, and you can see once again both Ross McTrain in the 45 and Jordan Stout in the 11 essentially squeezed Albert to clip the 46 of Mopar, sending that 46 right into the right front of Jordan Stout, sending him into the grass. With Albert also going for a spin as well, right in front of Roberto Crown. Great miss there for the 21. Random J also right behind him as well, doing a good job of avoiding. On the left side of the screen, you see Stout just barely making contact with the wall on his left side. But for the most part, did a good job of not getting any major damage to that car. While Albert continues to go for a spin, hitting the wall, right square on his left rear, with additional contact also on the left front. And it's definitely been a really bad triple winner challenge for the 84 car. He was also involved in a wreck last week at Bowman Gray. Scroll on board of Keisha Arce, he was right behind this mess. Yeah, definitely had a really good bird's eye view of what happened. Virgin also doing a good job of avoiding. On board of Jason Albert. Yeah, again, he was squeezed by both Stout and McTrain into the 46 to send him spinning. Nothing too much Albert could have done differently. And finally on board of Jordan Stout. And yep, there's a 46 right there on the right side of your screen, sending him into the wall. And see again, most of the damage is towards the left side, especially towards that left front, right where the hood is slightly open and buckled a little bit. Anyways, we're under caution here in the 2024 M&M's Classic, as we'll be right back with you guys for the finish of this race. To wrap up our first ever Triple Winner Challenge, we will make our third channel visit to the Paris Motorsports Park for the second running of the Massachusetts Classic on Martin Luther King Day at 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, barring any delays. Meanwhile, here in the M&M's Classic, we're about to go back green after the 84 Jason Albert essentially got squeezed by both the 11 car Jordan Stout and the 45 of Ross McTrain. Both the 11 and 84 have minor damage to their cars, but will continue the rest of this race with only 2 laps remaining. But as for your top 5, Maffrin in the 6 car is currently first, followed by Bradley Reed in the 16, the 40 car Nick Sant trying to get his 3rd Superspeedway win in the last 4 races, while defending M&M's Classic winner Joe T in the 9 cars in 4th, while Nathan Ormer, a past Daytona Showdown winner, rounds off the rest of the top 5. Other notable drivers inside this top 10 include all the 3 past Golf Summer Series champions of Kellen Baker in 6th, Hoodlum in 7th, and Ryan Wilson running off the rest of the top 10. Now, despite us only having 2 laps to go, this is not a green-white checkered finish, and unless another caution comes out, this race will end on the scheduled distance. But here we go. Pace car down pit road. Everyone in the crowd are all on their feet. With only 2 laps to go here in the M&M's Classic, we're back in the green. And already McTrain moves way down to the inside, the former 3rd line, but no one's going for him at all. Into turn number 1 is Nixon, which tries to look to the inside of Burnett for the lead. But Burnett quickly comes down the block as he in the inside lane get a huge run into turn number 2. Now looking at the ticker, that time by Bradley Reed barely beat Burnett back to the line. Looks like officials are not going to penalize him, but that 16 is rapidly losing ground on the outside. Down the back straight away, here's Hold'em once again, a fall from McTrain, making it 3 wide behind the leader, with Nixon and Orman now in the middle in front of Brady Carruthers. What lane will Burnett go with into turn number 3 as he'll come down the block Nixon, with both drivers moving down to the inside in front of Orman. He's also 4 wide towards the middle of the pack off turn number 4, but coming back to the front, your top 3 of Burnett, Nixon, and Orman all move up to the outside in front of Bradley Ream, as this time by, the white flag is out here in the M&M's Classic. Burnett does have experience winning Superspeedway races in the past, as he won the Golf Summer Series race at Talladega in 2022. While Nixon is the reigning Firecracker 400 winner, as Nixon is going to get left out to dry on the outside. Here comes Orman for a strong run into turn number 2. That was a great run for the 95. He has help from the 16 of Bradley Ream coming down the back straight for the final time as your top 3 once again move up to the outside. But as I say that, Ream's now going to move to the inside in front of Hoodlum with now half a lap to go. But now Burnett once again has a choice of which one to go with into turn number 3 as they're once again 3 wide behind. Looks like both Burnett and Ream move down to the inside going into turn number 4 for the final time. But can Bradley have enough time to get around the 6? Coming to the front for the final time. There's not going to be enough time for Bradley to make a move as Matt Burnett will see the checkered flag and win the M&M's Classic. Congratulations to Matthew Burnett and the Gold Alliance here today, as they are your 2024 winners of the M&M's Classic. And of course, with this win, this makes Burnett join Alexander Valla as the 2 only eligible drivers left to claim the PSL Reserve and win the challenge. And also, too, a big shout out to the Gold Alliance, as both Burnett and Ream did a really good job of working with one another during those final 2 laps. But anyways, let's take a look at the finishing results and Alliance averages after today's race. So here we go. Of course, Matthew Burnett wins the 2024 M&M's Classic, while he was followed by 2 other Gold Alliance drivers, a Brad Ream in the 6th car as he finishes 2nd, or Ross McTrain in the 45 rounds off the Gold Trifecta for finishing 3rd. And as I'll show y'all in the average alliances coming up shortly, the Gold Alliance in general had a much better day than they did at Bowman Gray. So definitely a great turnaround for this alliance, despite this being a super speedway. Meanwhile, as for the Silver Alliance, they also had a very strong day here today, with all 3 of the cars also finishing 4th, 5th through 6th, starting with Nathan Orman in the 95, despite starting dead last here today, while Madison Chase in the 06 gets her 2nd straight top 5 finish after finishing 4th last week at Bowman Gray, while Kellen Baker has a much needed rebound, finishing 6th. Same could also be said for Hold'em 88 car, finishing 7th, with his Diamond Alliance teammate Brady Carruthers just behind him in 8th. And finally, 9th and 10th are both Ruby Alliance drivers of Kyle Sestri, who's a driver who led a good majority of this race throughout the very beginning, while Brendan Beal does 37 will round off the rest of the top 10. And now for the Alliance averages for today's race. And after having the lowest average Alliance finish for last week's race, the Gold Alliance now has the highest average Alliance finish for today's race, with a very impressive average finish of 11.86. Meanwhile, the Diamond Alliance this week saw a very solid average finish of 13.5 after winning last week of Alexander Valla, while the Silver Alliance had the 3rd best average finish here today of 14.14. And finally, the struggles for the Ruby Alliance just continue with a very disappointing average finish of 17.57, as only 3 of their drivers even finishes at the top 15. And finally, here's the Alliance averages for both the Madhouse and M&M's Classic. And you can see the Diamond Alliance is still on top of the board overall, with an average finish at 13.36. But the Gold Alliance and Silver Alliance are too far behind, with average finishes of 13.79 and 13.93 respectively. And finally, the Ruby Alliance, you can just see how far they are compared to their 3 alliances, with an average Alliance finish of 16.57. So improving that average finish the best they can is definitely something the Ruby Alliance has to focus on going into our final race of the Triple Winner Challenge. So next up, 2 weeks from now, will be our final race of this year's Triple Winner Challenge, and that will be the Massachusetts Classic at the Papyrus Motorsports Park on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which will be on this channel at 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, barring any delays. And of course, if Alexander Valla or Matt Burnett win the race, they will win the challenge and get the reserve for the 2024 Palm Summer League later this summer. But as always, y'all, thank you guys for watching this race. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a happy and safe New Year's.